Hey guys! So many of you have asked for Panda Express, so I hope you'll enjoy. Starting with the Kung Pao chicken, I'm not sure if these are leeks or spring onions. They are not mentioned in the description on their website, but I used 3 shades of green to create a cane. It's a lot easier to just watch what I'm doing for this one than having me attempt explaining it. Basically, you're creating some stripe layers that you then add to the outside of a snake of green clay. Then roll it out and cut off small pieces. I used a needling tool to add some texture, but since the pieces were so small, I'm just demonstrating on a larger end piece. Next, take a beige or dough color and roll out tiny pieces for the peanuts. I then used a slightly lighter color for the chicken. Roll it out on your pasta machine, cut it into small pieces and add texture. Use soft pastels to give them a small amount of color. For the zucchini, I rolled out 2 sheets of green. You want the light shade to be slightly thicker. After layering them, I rolled them out on the pasta machine again just to make it a tiny bit thinner. Add some dark green pastel just to give it some variation in color and cut out the number of pieces you want. I did the same to create the red bell peppers. The lightest shade was a mix of red and translucent. Add some texture using tinfoil and add shading using dark brown pastel. Then arrange everything on the plate. I used liquid clay to make it stick. Then for the rice, roll out some really thin snakes of white. I used a slightly off-white color just so it wouldn't match the plate completely. Use your blade or X-Acto knife to chop it into tiny pieces. I also mixed the pieces of rice with some liquid clay, both to make them stick to the plate and to each other. I made the plates from Polymer clay, but I also used this miniature takeout box that I got off eBay. These are made from plastic, so you can't bake them with the clay. What I did was that I took a small piece of clay and pressed it into the takeout box, then baked that piece of clay and used it to make a mold. For the sauce, I mixed liquid clay and soft pastels. The liquid clay I'm using in this tutorial is Fimo Deco Gel, which is more transparent than the other liquid clays. To make the chow mein, I started out by mixing a couple of green shades for the cabbage. The onions are just white Cernit, but you can also mix translucent with a small piece of opaque white. And to make the celery, I used the same layering method as with most of the components, keeping the layer with the darker shade thinner. Then used the back of my blade to make some ridges and cut out small strips. For the noodles, I used a light yellow toned dough color. Then mix your vegetables with the noodles. I pre-baked this before adding the sauce, just so the sauce wouldn't seep into all the little cracks and be practically invisible. Roll out some thin sheets of the same color as the noodles and cut out small circles. Smooth out the edges and add texture using a toothbrush. Use soft pastels for the shading. Then place a small snake of clay in the center and fold in the sides. It doesn't really matter what color, but I chose to use a light green to match the filling better. Cut off a small piece and add some dark green and orange to look like vegetables. I used an even lighter dough color for the fortune cookies. These were kind of hard to show how to fold on camera, but I have a tutorial for a charm-sized fortune cookie if you want to make a more detailed version. I like my miniature food to look imperfect and more on the rustic side, so I added some dark brown acrylic paint after baking, then seal with glaze. Lastly, I painted a panda on some tissue paper using acrylic paint to create a napkin to go with the food. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next tutorial.